I think I just found the dumbest plan in history, and the weirdest part is that if worked, it would have changed Britain and the world forever. You all know this guy, right? He is Henry numero 8, and we all love how he treated his many wives. But in the process of playing fuck, marry, kill with any lady in his court, Henry created the Church of England in 1534 and made himself its head, which meant any Catholic still loyal to the Pope was now an official target. Even though Henry's Protestant daughter, Queen Elizabeth I, spent her reign trying to hold the peace, the tension between Catholics and Protestants never really faded, and when she finally hit her deathbed with no kids, the crown of England passed to James VI of Scotland in 1603. Don't ask me how, but that basically meant England and Scotland were now united under one ruler. And for England's Catholics, this new king looked like their last hope. Maybe he turned England Catholic again, or at least stopped trying to burn them for existing. Because James seemed like a chill guy. Except, a year in, he went even harder on Catholics, just to win over the Protestant majority. So, with their hopes shattered and patience gone, the group of very angry Catholic gentlemen decided to take matters into their own hands. The genius plan of these morons was to quite literally blow up Parliament during the state opening, while the king and every important person in England were inside. Now, you might be understandably confused here. What exactly were 13 Catholic fanatics hoping to achieve by turning the House of Lords into the hottest club in London? Honestly, if you ask them, they would probably just nod and say something like, "Don't worry, God's got the after party covered." But Robert Catesby, the group's leader, knew that simply turning King James and his entire Protestant government into barbecue wasn't enough. If they wanted to end Catholic persecution for good, they needed more than chaos. So Catesby hatched the final twist. While he traveled across England gathering support and recruiting more Catholics, his friends would kidnap the king's 9-year-old daughter and crown her as their puppet queen after the explosion. Meanwhile, his right-hand man, a former soldier and explosive expert named Guy Fawkes, would be in charge of the fun part, sneaking 36 barrels of gunpowder under Parliament and lighting the whole thing up on cue. Over several months, one of the conspirators named Thomas Percy quietly rented a cellar directly beneath the House of Lords, and Guy Fawkes, under the alias John Johnson, methodically stacked the barrels of gunpowder down there, hiding them beneath piles of firewood. The explosives sat quietly in the dark, waiting for the state opening of Parliament, the day when the king, the royal family, and all the political heavyweights would be together in one room. But what happens next is just pure comedy. The story goes that on October 26, a mysterious masked man slipped a letter to the Catholic Lord Monteagle, who conveniently was planning to attend Parliament on the day of the plot. The anonymous letter basically said that the Parliament is gonna receive a terrible blow on 5th of November, and you might want to skip it. Oh, and definitely burn this letter when you're done reading. No big deal. To this day, no one really knows who wrote the letter, though many point fingers at Francis Tresham, apparently the least enthusiastic member of the conspirators. But Monteagle didn't exactly have the guts or the Catholic fanaticism to go along with the plan and let it happen, so naturally he ran straight to the very anti-Catholic Secretary of State, Robert Seychelles, and spilled the beans. Seychelles of course immediately informed the king and sprang into action, and when the search finally reached the cellar on 4th of November, they found Guy Fawkes crouched next to the barrels, a match in hand, probably thinking, yep, about to make history. Except only hours before showtime he was arrested and his name was now secured in the history books. Just probably not the way he imagined. Even as the guards dragged him away, Fawkes remained in his disguise and acted like he was John Johnson. And just like that, the Gunpowder Plot was foiled. Our John Johnson was tortured until he confessed not only that he was Guy Fawkes, but also spilled the names of all his co-conspirators, who were spectacularly failing at their part of the plan. Robert Catesby and the gang hadn't managed to recruit more than 30 people for the uprising, and once they realized the whole thing had gone to hell, they fled to a mansion to make one last, desperate stand. At this point, only 6 men were left: Robert Catesby, John Grant, Christopher and John Wright, Ambrose Rockwood, and Thomas Percy. Exhausted, hunted, and out of options, they tried to dry their soaked gunpowder by spreading out in front of a fireplace, which as you can imagine, went brilliantly. A stray spark hit the powder and the room lit up. Catesby, Rockwood, and Grant were burned. I mean, it says a lot about their brain cells when the very gunpowder meant to blow up their enemies literally backfired. God really has a good sense of humor, I guess. Eventually, the king's men tracked them down at their hideout, and what followed wasn't much of an epic battle. The king's men opened fire, and Robert Catesby, Thomas Percy, and John Wright were shot dead on the spot, with Catesby supposedly dying while clutching a picture of the Virgin Mary, and the rest of the conspirators were captured alive. Though, alive might have been the worst outcome, because in the days that followed, every captured conspirator was dragged to trial, swiftly found guilty of treason, and handed the classic hang, drawn, and quartered experience. Guy Fawkes in particular got one hell of a treatment. The torture was so brutal that he couldn't even sign his own confession properly. By the time he was hanged, he was in such terrible physical condition that his neck supposedly broke immediately, sparing him the fun of being drawn and quartered. So yeah, the Gunpowder Plot is dumb, it's dramatic, and it's hilarious. And it only further alienated the Catholics in the eyes of an increasingly Protestant England. But it also shows just how far religious zeal and blind dedication can push people to attempt the most absurd, over-the-top schemes imaginable. For me, this plot is a perfect example of how history can be stranger than fiction, and how close we sometimes come to watching chaos unfold. So yeah, if you ever got an anonymous letter telling you not to go to work on a certain day, maybe just show it to your boss.